Good morning, everyone. This is Arlo Gagestein with the Dabbling in Discomfort podcast, where we strive to help you live an uncomfortable life. And I'm here today with my good friend, David Castillo. I've only known Dave well for a couple of years, but known him for a very long time. He has been a professional MMA fighter. That's when I first heard about Dave and watched a few of his fights, and man, he was fun to watch. He was a brawler. Anyway, he's changed a lot. His life has changed a lot since I first was introduced to Dave, and I've really gotten to know him a lot better the last couple of years and trained with him a lot the last couple of years, and I've really been blessed by it. He's a fantastic human, and I enjoy spending time with him. So Dave, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Man, thank you. What an introduction. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I am super excited to talk to you. So as I've gotten to know you better, I've watched just the way that you parent. I've watched your passion for the things that you do in life, and it's inspiring. Absolutely. I love just watching everything you're involved in and how you commit 100% to everything that you turn towards. So I think first off, we should probably talk about last October. So Dave was one of 3 people that joined me in a motorhome pull across the Salt Flats. So we pulled a motorhome. The curb weight, I believe, on the motorhome was like 18,000 pounds, but it was loaded full of water, all of that. So who knows how much it actually was. But Dave and Jeff Moore, who was on episode 1, and Kurt Larson and I pulled this motorhome across the Salt Flats for 10 miles, and it took like 13 hours or something like that. It was a long day. And one thing I do want to talk about with you today is just your family was there as well, and at times they helped pull the motorhome also, and it was just cool to watch them experiment doing hard things and you encouraging them to get involved. So let's start by talking about the motorhome pull. We did it one quick thing. We did it, this is the most important thing. We did it as a fundraiser for Operation Underground Railroad, which is they fight against human sex trafficking, and they were based here in Utah, but they have offices all over now. But anyway, so we did it as a fundraiser, raising money for Operation Underground Railroad. And it was a great experience, but let's get your take on the motorhome pull, Dave.
Yeah. Man, what an experience it was. That was hard. That's way hard. That was a long day. Dude, salt everywhere.
Right. Yep.
It's wet. It was raining. There's salt in the shoes and everywhere else, and the motorhome was super heavy, and I actually showed up that day thinking that I was only going 2 miles that day. Was it teams of 5?
It was teams of 5. Everybody was supposed to pull for 2 miles, and I kind of made some changes the last minute and suckered them into pulling all day with me. Dude, so I appreciate you joining me for the whole thing.
That was good for me because I'm usually more of like a high intensity, low duration.
Okay, yeah.
That's more my preference, right?
Right.
5, like back in the MMA days, it was like either 15 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Versus 13
hours.
I'm like, I could fight really hard for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Be pretty good, but I've never really done like long distance with like long duration. High intensity. That was, I would say, that what was that, high intensity or moderate intensity? What would you say? Moderate?
It was probably moderate intensity. Okay. Like we were able to keep going. So
okay,
I mean, it was hard for sure. But
so moderate intensity, high duration.
Yeah.
And that made it that wasn't something new for me, and I feel like that was the most challenging part, was like the slow and steadiness.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was pulling pretty hard every step.
Yeah. It was never easy.
Because remember when one guy would stop.
Yeah.
To like, I don't know, whatever.
You noticed as soon as somebody stopped working.
And it got to the point when we were, pretty deep in, that it's like I didn't want to stop pulling, because I didn't want to let you guys down because you were pulling pretty hard already too, and I knew that when I stopped, you would feel it just like when other people stopped, I could feel it, and I was like, "Come on, take a couple breaths, get back on it, dude."
For sure.
And I can't remember if it was like, I don't know, maybe the 6th or 7th lap, and it was Jeff and I and Kurt up front. You were in the back, and up until this point, you included, we were asking each other like on the break, like, "You doing good, man? You good?"
Yeah.
And we're all walking around like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. And then it was about lap 6 or 7. It's like, and I can't remember who said it, but it was like, "Has anybody else had second thoughts of like, if they're going to be able to do this or not?" And I think it was Jeff that said it, and we were like, "Oh yeah, dude, for sure."
Right. Nobody wanted to be the first to admit it, but once it came up, we all felt the same.
Yeah, we're like, "Oh, dude, I was wondering if I'm gonna be able to do this on like the 2nd lap, the 3rd
that's
lap,
so funny.
And then 13 hours later we finished.
Yeah.
That was a big accomplishment. For me.
Absolutely good.
I thought it was really cool that you put that together and included so many people for a really good cause. Right. I think that made it just as powerful as like the endurance aspect of it, you know?
Yeah, it was a great accomplishment, but it was so cool for me because I had pulled my truck alone the year before, and that was cool. Like, that was a big accomplishment. But 1 year later to look around and there's 30 people out there all pulling something, it was mind-blowing, and it was awesome. I'm like, wow, this is a bigger accomplishment than anything physical that I've done, just that we have this many people out here doing this to raise money for a great cause. So
yeah,
that was really
worthy
cool.
Cause.
Yeah.
You know,
and I sure appreciated you guys. Like, I'm not sure. I may have told Jeff like the day before that we were going to pull a motorhome the entire 10 miles, and you were expecting to pull something for 2 miles. And I think I had told Kurt too a few days before. Mm-hmm. But I kind of sprung that on you guys last minute, and you all were committed and you weren't going to stop. And that was awesome. Like, that's one of the things that I appreciate about you and Jeff and Kurt as well, is they'll commit to something and they're going to follow through, and we're going to get it done. So thank you.
Rise to the occasion there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So important.
Yeah.
I know I thanked you before, but I'll thank you again on inviting me, because that was a really cool opportunity for me to bring my family and get them involved, and to see to see my friends or the people that I surround myself with doing good things and working hard. For the betterment of others. You know what I mean?
Right.
Making yourself uncomfortable to do something good that's bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And just for them to be around you and the rest of the guys that were there was inspiring to them.
Good.
Because they don't see that all the time.
Yeah. And I really think that's important for all of us. I mean, it's easy to look at issues in the world, even ones that we care about a lot, and be like, oh, somebody else will do something, right? But to actually see people doing it and to participate yourself that's incredible. And it like, we really can make a difference. If we all think somebody else is going to do something, it's not going to get done.
Right?
So I certainly appreciate you and your family being there as well. And it was really cool to see them, your son steering and your wife and kids pulling. Yeah. It was a really
I got
neat
pictures
experience.
of everyone pulling. And those pictures were cool because it was wet.
Yeah,
so
those are gorgeous. We'll try and put those on something on YouTube, on the YouTube
but thank
version.
You. That was one of the harder things that I've done.
Nice. Good.
And I had a blast. I had a ton of fun doing it.
Well, that's interesting, and I know I feel the same way too. Like, doing really hard things can absolutely suck in the moment, but they're the most rewarding when you look back on them, and they truly are fun. Like, if you can learn to appreciate the struggle, man, it's incredible how awesome hard things can be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. So let's talk about your MMA career a little bit. So you had a lot of professional fights. How many did you have? Like 29 or something? 30 professional fights.
Yeah.
That's a long career.
It was just over a decade, but it was 2007 to 2017.
Wow. That is awesome. And you started with Jeremy Horn, is that correct?
Yep. Started with Jeremy Horn, and had an amazing run.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I could have done some things better, but I had a great run. And you know, for me to go back and talk a lot about my fighting career is not really even something that I really want to talk too much into, because like that's already done.
Right.
Like it's about what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be the guy who was like, look what I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to be 40 in May. It's like, what am I going to do now? What am I doing now? What am I going to do now? MMA was cool, and it's given me a lot of tools, and it taught me a lot of lessons, and it gave me a ton of great experiences, and it allowed me a platform to inspire my kids and my wife, and like start a gym and help people. You know? Like the MMA thing was way bigger than just me. Not at the moment, but I realize that now. You know what I mean? At the moment, at the time I was doing it, it was really selfish. It was really selfish.
Okay.
I was trying to get the acknowledgement and and get my name out there, and prove something to myself, prove something to other people, and be seen. Right. You know what I mean? And do good and win fights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was all great, and I had ups and downs, and there was things I could have done better, but at the end of the day, my MMA experience was just to prepare me for now. And now it's given me an amazing... MMA gave me an opportunity to be introduced to Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Obviously, I trained under Jeremy Horn. But Jiu-Jitsu is like one of the biggest parts of my life now.
Yeah. What is it about Jiu-Jitsu that you love?
Well, I actually didn't love it as much while I was fighting.
I remember you saying that.
I was more like I wanted to get people in a position where I could just hit them and make them stop. Right? And I didn't love or respect Jiu-Jitsu as much then as I do now. Like if I would have had the caliber of Jiu-Jitsu that I have now, back in my fighting days, like it would have been a completely different ball.
Yeah.
I'd have been twice as dangerous.
You know.
But that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay, but MMA gave me an opportunity to be introduced to Jiu-Jitsu. You know, Jeremy introduced me to Jiu-Jitsu a long time ago, and I've had a lot of people since then help me and be part of it, including you, right? And but it's such a good example of like what it takes to win at life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the long-term game. You know, like all the time on the mat, all the days in the gym, all the times that you were in the gym and you were getting tapped over and over and over again. Your ego was getting beat to death, and you go home and your body's tired and your neck hurts. And you know, you can't believe that, you know, you got choked by a girl that day. And like,
I've had way too many days like that.
Right. Anyone who's done it can relate. Your first few months in the gym, you know, you get that little slice of humble pie. But it's like Jiu-Jitsu is a perfect example of putting yourself in an uncomfortable place over and over again for the betterment of the future of yourself, your personal growth, and the contribution to the people around you.
Yeah.
Just as important in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to go in and get better, but then you have to contribute to the people around you so that they can get better too. So you all move up together. And it's the day in and day out. I've been on the mats 14 years now.
Wow.
And same with you.
Right.
About the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's the long game. It is the long game. It only feels like, to me, like I've really been excelling for like the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. It's been incredible to watch you progress the last 2.5 years. You have definitely improved so much. I mean, you were awesome to begin with. When you first started coming here, you were incredible already. You're a great grappler. But you just keep getting better and better, and it's fun to watch. I love to watch people get better, and as a consequence, those of us that train with you are also getting better, right? And it's like you say, everybody's getting better together and rises up together, and I think it's really cool. It's really neat to see how just training with people helps you and it helps them. And it's hard not to improve when you're around other people that are pushing you and challenging you. Mm-hmm. And I think just life in general too, talking about doing hard things, like when you're challenging yourself and you're being pushed by others to do hard things, it makes you better. Like, it builds character, it makes you more durable. I mean, there's a ton of benefit.
100%. I love the friendly competition too.
Oh, for sure.
like we got hits out on each other right now for lunch, right?
Yep.
So it's a good time, and that friendly competition is so necessary.
Yeah.
You can apply it to anything, right? You can apply it to like your fitness or your jiu-jitsu. You can apply it to to business, right?
Yeah.
It's good to have friendly competition in business, people that help you level up. Right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm just grateful to have training partners like you and everyone else that is in my circle, because without you guys, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
For sure.
In my jiu-jitsu journey. And so,
Yeah, I agree.
Getting
100%.
there over and over and over again.
Yeah,
is the most important part. You know, some days are going to suck. You still show up.
Yeah, consistency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I mean the circle of friends and circle of the people that we surround ourselves with. Honestly, that's the main reason I started this podcast. I looked around at the people that I'm exposed to every day, my friends and acquaintances, they're doing incredible things, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, nobody got there taking the easy path. Like, all of these people that I'm blessed to be around have done hard things to get where they're at, and it's just incredible. And I love to watch all of you succeed, and I love to be a part of it and be around you guys, and so thanks for helping inspire the podcast.
Yeah, dude. I've thought a few times about doing some podcasting, and I just think it's cool that you actually started and you're doing it, and you took that step. And so I'm honored to be I believe your third.
You're the third guest, yes. Yeah.
Amongst the first two were amazing guests, Jeff and Soraya. Both inspiring people, and so when I've listened to those podcasts, and then you asked me to do this, I was like, hell yeah, I want to do it.
Good. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another thing to add too with jiu-jitsu, and again, you can apply it to anything else, is like the importance of paying it forward.
Right.
And how paying it forward actually makes you better.
Yeah.
Right? In 2020, my sons have both been training with me and in other wrestling camps since they were both 5, and now one's 9 and the other's 13.
Right.
And the deal is that it's mandatory for them to train until they win gold.
Huh.
And at that point, if they win a gold in a tournament or
yeah.
And at that point, they can decide if they want to continue training or not.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Right? And it took it took my oldest son 5 years,
Uh-huh.
and it took my youngest 4.
Wow. And they're still doing it, huh?
And they're still training.
Yeah.
But they've both taken a break here and there, which is okay. But the importance of that was the reason I set those. My wife and I set those those rules is because we wanted them to know what it takes to win.
Yeah. That's such an important lesson.
Yeah, without being like, this is hard, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's scary, and I don't know if I can win. And do you think I'm good enough?
Right,
and all
right.
these things that we experience as adults too.
Yeah.
You know, when we're setting out on new ventures or putting ourselves into challenging situations, they learned that it is possible,
Uh-huh.
and that they are capable,
Yeah.
and that if they just stick with it and keep showing up and keep putting in the work, that eventually, like, you will win. You will have your time.
Right.
Most people, I mean, you've heard it a million times, and so have I. It's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it's like most people quit right before they succeed.
Yeah.
You know?
So true.
And I can't tell you how many times before they won, they were like, I don't know if, you know, I don't know about going to this tournament this year. Or, Dad, you know, I'm like, dude, you'll thank me one day.
Right.
But you gotta stick with it. And so two of the most important, or the most proud moments amongst a handful of others was watching them both win for the first time.
Oh, I bet.
Like, I told my other son, or my oldest son at the time he won, I was still like pretty deep into my coaching and MMA career.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was the biggest win of my career.
Right. That is so cool.
You know, that was the biggest win of my coaching career.
Yeah.
To watch him win a little wrestling tournament.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And the same thing for my youngest, who just recently got his.
Uh-huh.
It's just recent. But he had an opportunity for the other kid to be disqualified, and it was for the first and second place.
Oh.
There was an opportunity for the other child to be disqualified.
To take the easy
and
win.
We called it out. We said no.
Nice.
And he still went in there and won.
Oh, that is so cool.
So that's an example of like the importance of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Putting it all on the line, putting in the work, doing hard things.
Right,
and then giving yourself a chance to win.
Uh-huh.
Because if you don't ever give yourself a chance,
you won't know what
you
you're
never
capable
will.
of.
You never
Right,
will.
right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And
That is, for sure.
And MMA and Jiu-Jitsu has now given me an opportunity. Like I was saying, where I was getting at is that in 2020, when COVID and all this stuff happened, that wrestling got weird.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they wanted parents and kids and coaches and everyone to put masks on,
Right,
training and all this
Uh-huh.
crazy stuff. And I'm like, dude, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So we built a gym in our hayloft of our barn. And the reason we built that gym is because my son, Lennox, still had not won.
Oh, right.
So we had to keep our word to each other.
Yeah.
We built a gym.
That is so cool. I didn't realize that's why you built the gym.
Yeah.
I've been to the gym. It's amazing. I love it. The loft.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's why we built it.
Yeah.
And now, since 2020, you know, it just happened and just manifested itself. But I'm coaching about 30 kids up there now.
That's incredible. 30 kids.
Yeah. And the reason I'm getting emotional is because I'm super passionate about paying it forward.
Yeah, right.
Because I know what it's done for me.
Hmm.
My background, where I've come from, and where I am now, like, it's the tools that you learn on the mat
Yeah.
that prepare you for the times where it gets rough, when it gets
For
hard.
sure.
Like you've already done it in the gym.
Yep. It's a huge confidence builder, huh?
Oh yeah.
And just the ability to deal with adversity and difficult situations.
And knowing you're not made of glass.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're capable. You know, and I'm watching these kids now, and some of them have been training with me since the start, and some of them are just 6 months in.
Okay.
Some of them are at that year mark now.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see things click.
Oh, that's exciting.
And 100% of them I've brought from the ground.
Yeah.
So when you see them like applying all these things and growing confidence, standing a little taller,
Right.
that's a big testament to like more adults should do this too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
I actually I love seeing you get emotional about this because I mean it cements in my mind what I already knew, that just your level of passion for everything you do and for your family and for paying it forward and helping other kids and other people. It's just, that's one of the things that I admire most about you is, and I've seen it so much as I've come to know you the last couple years, how important that is to you, how important family is and helping others, and man, it's inspiring. So
nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's cool. It's a big responsibility that I don't take lightly.
Right.
And maybe for the past 7 or 8 years, man, I've been really diving deep into self-development and becoming a better version of myself, and what I've learned from all the people and my coaches and my training partners and the books and the audio books and the podcasts and the application of all the things I'm learning. Like through all this time, I've learned a lot. And not only am I able to show these kids something fun and cool like Jiu-Jitsu, it also gives me a good platform to be able to share some concepts and ideas with them to help them be better as far as
in life,
like introspective, like just basically trying to teach them or tell them or show them the lessons that I've learned through my self-development. And give them that message at an early age.
Yeah, for sure. Go so much further beyond than just the mat.
Yeah, and we line up and bow at the end of class, and I try to say something quick to just plant a seed.
Yeah.
And I think one day, I think it is making a difference, and I think one day, they'll do their part in the ripple effect.
Yeah.
So that's jiu-jitsu for me right now.
Nice.
And it's made me a ton better teaching too.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I notice whenever I teach. I realize how bad I am at teaching, but it makes me better. I'm like, oh yeah, this is why we do it this way. So
cool.
Very good. And you just got your black belt?
Yeah.
What was that? 2-3 weeks ago? Pretty recently.
Yeah.
From Jeremy Horn.
Dude, unbelievable.
What an achievement.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that was a big deal for me. It was a great recognition, and it cemented in what I already knew. And it's given me I guess, for lack of a better word, just more confidence moving forward and sharing what I know.
Right.
With the kids.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest part is that because I have that belt, and Jeremy and I have had this conversation, and he's given me the blessing to one day be able to belt my kids.
That's neat. That is so cool.
And for those who know gi and know jiu-jitsu, or don't know jiu-jitsu for that matter, I'm more of a no-gi grappler. I do train in the gi now, but I'm more of a no-gi grappler. And in no-gi, typically there's not a belt system. And so that's the first belt that Jeremy's ever given me.
Is your black belt.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I want to be able to give others the recognition too.
Yeah, right.
And so, one day when I get to put a belt that was earned.
Yeah, right.
Around my son's waist.
Oh, man.
After years of training. That's going to be a big deal.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Him handing that to me gave me a tool.
Yeah.
To be able to do it for others and give others the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
After it's earned.
For sure.
And I'm not going to be one to hand them out easy.
Right. Yeah, I have no doubts.
So
I think, and that's one of the cool things. So we keep coming back to jiu-jitsu, but that's obviously a huge part of my life and a huge part of yours. So one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu that I've always loved is that it's rare to find a teacher, I think, that just hands out belts. Like you don't progress through the different levels of jiu-jitsu very quickly. It's a long-term commitment. It's not just a fling for a few years where you're like, yeah, I was into this once it becomes a lifelong thing, I think, for anyone that doesn't give up.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And it's in those later years where you really get the reward.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know the percentage, but it's like, I don't know what percentage it is of people who get their blue belt stop there.
It's a pretty big percentage. So for those of you that don't know jiu-jitsu, you start out as a white belt, and the first belt that you're promoted to is a blue belt, and that typically takes a couple of years. So it's a big accomplishment, and some people get into jiu-jitsu and they feel very accomplished when they get their blue belt. And I don't know if it's looking ahead, thinking, man, if it took this long to get my blue belt, it's going to take forever. I don't know, but I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a running joke about how most people give up after getting their blue belt, if they make it that far. Most people probably don't even make it that far, but
there's so many levels to everything, and you just don't know what you don't know. And,
yeah.
And when I was it's typically a year and a half to blue, or 2 years to a blue belt, something like that, a year to 2 years. A year or two into my training, I thought I was pretty badass.
Right.
But I had no idea that there were guys that were way better than me that were just kind of just letting me work a little bit,
For sure.
And you just don't know what you don't know. But that's why I feel like if you're passionate about something, if something makes you feel good, if putting in the work is giving you more confidence, if you challenging yourself is making your life better, stop questioning. Just keep doing.
Right.
Because over time, it's just going to take care of itself. It's like the compound effect. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing a little bit all the time and keep going, because eventually that little bit turns into something real big.
Yeah.
For sure. And I don't know what the average time to end up or to achieve a black belt level in jiu-jitsu. I believe it's about a decade. Mine took 14 years.
Yeah.
And I just had to keep going. Yeah. And there were times that I got frustrated. There were times that I didn't want to get up and go again. There were times where I'm like, screw this.
Yeah, for sure.
Am I gonna keep doing this? And that time came right after I retired from MMA.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a little 1 year window in there where I kind of let my body heal.
Right.
And reset. I had to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I took some downtime, and that was the time I'm talking about where I'm like, am I going to keep doing this? Am I going to keep going? Should I? Like, what's the point? Like, you have what Andy Frisella, someone that I really look up to and listen to a lot, talks about is your bitch voice. And that's what that was.
Okay.
That was myself. That was myself, my bitch voice, basically trying to talk me out of achieving my own personal greatness. And a lot of people will listen to that voice.
Yeah.
I've listened to that voice before.
Absolutely.
Have you?
Oh, for sure.
We all have. And if someone tells you they haven't, they're lying.
Yep.
Right? and you also have, this other voice that's cheering you on and telling you that you can.
What's that one called?
That's the boss.
The boss. Okay.
and so and so I was having that moment, and then one day my wife Jenny and I decided to just start training again.
Yeah.
And then when I got back on the mat, when I kicked down the door on that self-doubt and told the bitch voice to take a seat and started showing up again, I knew at that time that it was the right decision.
Nice. Yeah.
But in those moments of doubt, you have to try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Keep pressing
you'll never
forward.
know.
Right.
And so, especially with things that are difficult,
yeah,
you have to show up and try, or you'll never know if you were able to do it.
For sure. And I think a lot of people get discouraged or don't even start pursuing their dreams because they know how long it's going to take. They know how hard it's going to be. And you'll have people that say they really, really want something, but they don't ever even start to pursue it. They're like, one day, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. And they never start. And sometimes that's the hardest step, is just starting. And then listening to the boss and keeping going when it gets hard.
Yeah, dude, that was such a valid point. The starting.
Yeah.
That's what I admire about you is that, I mean, you do a lot.
I start a lot.
You know how to start.
I know how to start. Following through is always the easiest.
You followed through on writing 2 books. You own your own business, and now you've started a podcast, and you're always putting out value for people and content. One thing that I really admired about you during the 2020 times was you got online, you delivered some value to people for people at home to be able to get some work in, and you put together that bag workout. And you made it a paid program for people that I actually gave away for free once.
Oh, nice.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember, and I had to send everyone a message and be like, never mind, you have to pay for this. Sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah.
But you start and you do a lot, and you experiment, and you keep going. You make the adjustments, and you keep going. And you're like one of the most physically fit or strongest people that I know of. I don't know how else to explain it, but you're just like freakishly strong, and you've been doing it for a long time. And nobody could come in your gym and just train for a year and achieve what you have. Like, what you have is the
years
accumulation
and years.
Of what, a couple decades?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know of you or what you were doing when you had the layer. Where you guys were doing...
That was a wild place.
Crazy workouts, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, even the layer is a part of why you have the physical strength that you have now.
Yeah, right.
Even though that was how long ago?
Yeah, it's been years. But.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely accumulation gets us places. Everybody wants the quick fix, but that's not very realistic.
But it's super common.
Yeah.
Especially with the way technology is.
For sure. And it sells.
Instant gratification sells.
For sure.
That's funny. It's kind of a hard sales pitch when someone shows up and you really tell them what it's going to
I know, right? Just keep coming for the next 10 to 15 years.
That's why it's important to start now, though.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a, I think it's a Chinese proverb that and I don't know many Chinese proverbs, but this one has always stuck out to me. It says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now.
Yes, I love that.
Like, yeah, that's totally it. Like, yeah, you could have started, and that would have been better had you started when you first thought of something you wanted to pursue. But if you didn't start now, don't put it off until Monday or until next month or next year. Like, if you truly want something, dive in. It's probably going to be uncomfortable, but the sooner you start, the sooner you'll achieve your goal, and the easier it's going to be probably in the long run.
That's gospel right there, man.
So you at one point struggled with alcohol for a good portion of your fighting career, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that
sure.
at all? I very much admire Dave too. He's been very vocal with those of us in his circle, and I think he's willing with anybody to talk about his struggles with alcohol and how his life has changed for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, I drank for the majority of my fighting career.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 2-year gap where I wasn't.
Okay.
Because I was trying out the church thing, specifically LDS.
Right.
And part of that deal is
yeah,
you don't drink. And someone told me once that if I go to the temple, then I'd be able to live with my family forever.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what if they're right?
Yeah, that sounds good, huh?
I should try that. It ended up not being for me, but so I started drinking when I was 15.
Okay.
And had a 20-year run.
Wow.
And so, but this is what it comes down to: the chink in your armor. And it's funny that we're doing this podcast because when I came in here today, Warren mentioned my fight with Thiago Moises. That was for the IFA title.
Yeah.
That was my ticket to the UFC. And I didn't go into too much detail with him, but that's the fight that I couldn't afford to have that chink in my armor.
Right.
Because when you're standing across from somebody who is equally skilled, equally strong, in shape, ready to go, fully trained, like, it comes down to, are you 100%?
Yeah.
I was 99%.
Right.
I knew going into that fight, and no one else did, but I knew going into that fight that I got drunk the weekend before.
Wow.
And so, even though I had, I was super confident and I went there to win.
Yeah.
Like, subconsciously, you still know. And he caught me in a arm lock in the second round that I feel like if I had my wits about me just a little bit more, I could have had the right timing to do something that could have bought me maybe a little more time in the fight.
Yeah.
If my reaction time was just a little faster. Maybe if I wouldn't have drank, I would have been a little stronger, because at one point I hit him with an overhand right that knocked him down, almost knocked him out. What if I could have hit just a little bit harder?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I think the chink in your armor is something good, a good concept for a lot of people to think about, because it comes down to, like, your personal integrity. Like, what do you do when no one's watching?
Right.
Because my time to drink was, as bad as it sounds, on the drive home.
Oh, okay.
from the gym.
Uh-huh.
I'd leave the gym, the liquor store was on the way.
Yeah, yeah.
It was on the route. It was on the route. So when I quit drinking on August 31st of 2017, that was also the day that I retired from MMA. That was
Okay.
also the day that I closed my gym.
Wow. That's a big day.
Yeah, and I had to cut out other types of relationships in my life as well, and just shut it all down and reset and reinvent, because that was the only way for me to achieve something achieve whatever it is that I'm supposed to do and that whatever I'm capable of. Because with that crutch, with that ball and chain, I wouldn't be able to be walking or running as fast as I am now.
Yeah, right.
So when I talk about my drinking and when it relates to fighting, I think that's the one thing I could have done better. And that could have been the difference.
You're right.
But not where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Because where I was supposed to go is right here. Right now.
That's awesome.
So
and like you said, everything that, like, that career prepared you for where you are now.
For this.
Yeah.
And making a difference.
Uh-huh.
Because through the time of the drinking and the partying and all that stuff that I was doing, I hurt a lot of people. I hurt people that I loved. I hurt a lot of people I didn't know.
Right.
You know, and so, like, but now I have an opportunity to make a difference. And that's a big part of why I want to share a good word with people when I'm around them.
Yeah.
I want to make my interactions valuable with people. Like, hey, how you doing kind of thing just doesn't really do it for me.
Right,
I want to talk about something that has some depth.
For sure.
And that I want to talk about things with people that, like, everyone thinks about, but no one really talks about. Like the self-doubt.
Yeah.
You know, and so apply that chink in your armor concept to other aspects of life too.
Yeah.
And what are you doing when no one's watching? You know, because everyone thought that I was prepared. Everyone thought that I went all in. Everyone thought that Dave was going to win tonight, and that I put in the work, and they saw it, and everyone around me had the ultimate confidence in me because they thought that I was doing all the right things. But then when I was by myself, I was drinking.
Yeah.
And I knew.
Right.
And I knew. And when it came time to lock the cage and it's time to fight, the only thing I could depend on is me.
Yeah.
And I let myself down. So that's a regret that I have to live with, but it's also something that's super valuable to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now it comes down to, like, I just don't want to regret again. I would way rather fail than regret, because if I'm failing, I know I'm at least trying and doing my best.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live with the regret
of not
cutting
trying
myself short.
Yeah.
Because all of us have people that look up to us. Everyone listening to this podcast right now has somebody who looks up to them. And so if we cut ourselves short, then we're also cutting the people around us short.
Right. We don't just let ourselves down. It's those that look up to us as well.
So we all have a personal responsibility to try to be better. Even if it's not for us, because there's important people watching.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do now.
I love it. So you have a lot of things going on now. The new Dave Castillo.
Yeah, man, I got so
Real
much stuff
estate.
going
You have
on.
a farm.
So
You're involved in all kinds of stuff.
2017 retired from fighting. 2018 started a real estate career. Reached out to a guy I know. Shout out to Joel Carson, Utah Real Estate. He had helped me sell a house of mine, and then I reached out to him and was like, hey, I had some success buying and selling homes of my own, and I was like, hey,
Okay.
I feel like this is something that's valuable to people. I could sell that.
Yeah.
And so I asked him to mentor me, and so from 2019 to 2021, that's 3 years. So I had 3 consecutive years of 6 figures.
Wow.
The most money I've ever made in my life.
Right.
And I attribute a lot of that success to Joel's coaching and my ability to be coached.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
To take action and to put myself out there. And it's pretty hard to try to start something new.
Yeah.
You feel like almost like inadequate.
Right.
Like how do you go sell your first house when you show up and people are like, so how long have you been doing real estate? Like, actually, you're my first one. right. And but Joel's a great coach and was giving me step by step how to do things, and I would just go and apply that and just trust what he was telling me, and real estate has completely changed my life. It gave me an opportunity to be able to purchase the piece of property that we live on now. In Ogden Valley, in Huntsville, and that's the same place where I have the Jiu-Jitsu program. We've also this year started a beef business, so we're raising Highland, Scottish Highland cows on our property, and that's and we will be basically raising and providing high quality beef to people who want
that is
good
awesome.
Quality food.
Yes. Sign me up.
Yeah. So we've started the cow business, the beef business. We have real estate. We're doing the real estate. The jiu-jitsu program is on our property, and now my wife and I have launched her personal practice. It's the company's called Opta Health. You could go to optahealthhormones.com and look at that information, but my wife is a nurse practitioner, and she has opened her own virtual bioidentical hormone replacement therapy clinic, and her office is also in our barn. we just finished we gutted an office that has a bathroom, and we just remodeled it, and it's super
great.
Nice. But it's also in our barn.
Also in the barn.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So we're operating 4 businesses on our property.
Yeah. That's amazing. How do you keep up? Like, really?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wake up and do hard things.
Right. I mean, you have to, or you'd never catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I go out and I'm usually outside by 6 or 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
About 6:30 in the morning, feeding the cows.
Right.
This is the first winter that I've been outside, regardless of temperature, every single morning, every day.
Wow.
And I've learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from those animals.
For sure. Dave was showing me a picture earlier of a baby cow in a bathtub. And it was funny, but it was awesome. And it's one of those things that you have to do. It doesn't matter if you want to do it or what the temperature is outside or regardless of what else is going on in life at that particular moment.
Yeah.
You have to do the hard thing and take care of those animals.
Yep. And it's been super cool, and we'll have our first batch of beef available in October.
Wow.
So that's going to be
exciting.
Cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's what we're doing, and that's the business aspect of my life, and that's where I've gone since MMA. But I'm also, really fortunate to have such an amazing partner and wife in Jenny.
Yeah.
Because she's the biggest part of it. She continues to cheer me on, and I cheer her on, and we continue to tell each other that we can, and we continue to take risks together, and we keep allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and to be seen, right, and to and to have the confidence to be and that we know that we can provide value for people,
right,
and not being like, am I good enough, or
because
those thoughts do go through my mind, and they go through hers and yours, I'm sure, and everybody else's. I think it's called imposter syndrome.
Okay. I think so. Yeah.
But some of the greatest, most influential, most successful people in the world have imposter syndrome too.
Yep. Yeah.
They just know how to deal with it.
Right. I think it's so essential to have those people in our life, like Jenny, like your spouse, like your mentor, people that believe in you, that are willing to help you along the way and are excited to see you succeed. Like, I think a lot of people go through life thinking, I can do this by myself, and if I set my mind to it and I work hard enough, I can do whatever I want. But really, I mean, we rely so much on the support of those around us, and honestly, we'd be lost without it, right? Like, everybody wants to think they can do stuff on their own, but you can't.
So true, dude. So true. Everyone needs help. Yeah.
And the vulnerability, like making yourself vulnerable, like you were talking about, to admit that, yes, I need help, is huge. That's hard to do. That's a difficult thing to admit that I need help with something. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you make so much more progress when you're willing to let people in on your dreams and pursue them together. And I think that's awesome, that everything that you and Jenny are accomplishing, and how much you relied on the mentorship with Joel. Joel is his name, right? You said for starting your real estate business. And I mean, without that, where would you have been? Trying to sell your first house? Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely essential for us to put in the hard work. I mean, that's a given, but it's also essential to admit that you need help and find someone that supports you on your journey, whatever it is that you're pursuing.
Yep, and even if it's like you're not in need of actual help, but you're just in need of just a resource.
Yeah.
Like getting resourceful.
Right.
You know, that's like a lot of that you've heard it. You know, people say self-made, and it's like, you sure?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I won't ever claim to be self-made. And I don't even think I haven't arrived.
Right.
I haven't arrived. I'm not even close to where I want to be. Like, I'm in this with everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to improve every day, because there's levels. Like I just said, there's levels to everything.
Yeah.
There's people that I have in my circle that I look up to, that I'm like, man, I want to be there one day. And I know there's people in my life that look at me like that too. And they look at my life and they're like, man, if I could just achieve something like that, that'd be cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's levels, but we all just got to keep pushing to that next level.
For sure.
Next level, because you don't really know what's there until you get there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that a whole lot. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and I totally agree with you. But we're always, like, in my industry and training, we're always setting goals. Like, and I guess, I don't know where I'm going with this. Like, we focus so much on getting to this goal, and then we reevaluate and see what's beyond that. But a lot of times, I mean, fitness as well as everything else, life in general is a journey, and we don't know where it's going to go until we get there, and and we never really get there, right? It's continual.
You never do.
So,
if you're always trying to, that's so true, because if you're always trying to reach your potential, you never reach it.
Right. Yeah.
It's infinite.
Interesting. And I mean, there's talking about huge goals and achieving them. One particular that comes to mind is Everest. Like a lot of people who climb Everest, when they finish, they dedicate so much time to doing it that when they're done, they're lost. And they're like, now what, right? They don't know where to go from here, or what to do, or what. Like, they focus so much on one goal, and it's an awesome goal. It's a huge accomplishment, but a lot of people almost, and it's not just with Everest, it's a lot of people will set big goals, and when they reach them, they're elated for a really short time, and then they go into depression. And like, they've spent so much time pursuing this one thing, and now it's not there anymore. It's done. Then now what? And they have trouble finding themselves again. And I like your approach that you don't know what's there until you get there, and you're just going to keep going and reevaluating. Okay, where do I go from here? And just the journey aspect of it, and knowing that the journey's not over once you get there. Like, it's continual. As long as we're walking, there's something to do.
Yeah. There's no finish line.
Yeah.
No. I agree 100%.
Awesome. Well,
let's see, what do we got?
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's good, man. If you're
awesome, yeah, I'm good.
I don't want to ramble on too long.
No.
I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to.
Oh, of course.
Be able to
thanks for
share a couple ideas, and
thanks for coming and being my guest.
Stories, yeah.
I always love discussions that we have. I miss some of them because I have to work, but on Tuesdays after training, a lot of times Dave and some of the other guys will stick around and chat, and you guys have some great discussions, and I'm happy when I'm involved in them, and this is always great sitting and talking to you and gaining wisdom from you. So I appreciate you being
as well,
on the show.
Man, you've been one of the most important people in my jiu-jitsu these past few years, and one of the most consistent. And you've also been a source of inspiration and having you as a friend is an important thing to me, because I know that you're a good man.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Certainly appreciate you as well. And having you in my life has made it better.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Good on.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, dabbling in discomfort.